Hello and welcome to Maze Arcana on the twitch.tv/D&D channel. Today, we are not filming a game, no. We are going to interview some of the people who helped create Fury's Reach, Map to Ruin. Tonight we have Sig Neutron, Rudy Rutenberg, and Dodger. And we're going to talk about how awesome the game was. You guys were so much fun. I'm sitting here with the chat room on my iPad. So the first half is going to be questions to them. And the second half, well, I'm going to ask them questions. Second half, you are going to ask them questions through me.
Way off, yeah.
So, yeah. Think of your questions, type them up, put them in the chat room, and let's talk about Fury's Reach, Map to Ruin.
Yes, please.
Rutenberg, I'm good. Rutenberg, tell us about Map to Ruin, Fury's Reach, Map to Ruin.
Well, Fury's Reach, well, I will say like Map to Ruin, MOP, the MOP. The MOP was, yeah, the MOP show was created alongside the Freedom of Adventure show, which was the one that you ran, and we ran them as parallel campaigns where the adventurers would cross paths pretty much throughout. I think almost every episode had either some hint or callback or something that had an adventurer survived and been paying attention the whole time. They would have noticed, they could have probably picked it up in each one, but even still you guys had a pretty good, you guys like found a lot of those little hints and had those moments where you were like, that's from a...
That was really
And they weren't allowed to
fun.
watch any of the Tuesday shows either, so they had...
Yeah, that was so fun, like the number of times that we would get here during like sound check or whatever, and Satine would be like, I want you guys to know what happened in my game so bad, it was so cool, but you can't know. You can't know because then you'll know stuff that might happen today, so you can't know.
Yeah, and we created a lot of those mechanics together so that like either group could have had them, and some of
Right.
the mechanics were still, not only could either group have them, but both groups were likely to hit the same thing.
Right.
But a lot of it depended on what you guys decided to do, what you decided to roll. We had basically an entire flow chart of if-thens for almost everything we could possibly conceive of, so that during the season we could basically just move it on the fly to accommodate the choices you guys made, so that we weren't railroading you,
Right.
but at the same time we could coordinate without, like, if Satine didn't see my group do a thing, she could still do it all on her own without any of the other stuff, because we had already planned it. She already knew the mechanics for the things. And we had powwows and breaks, and we touched base basically after every game.
Right.
Yeah.
Rewatched almost every game.
Can you
to make
believe
sure.
they blank, oh my goodness, they're such blah, 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 blah. So Rudy,
Incredible
what was
and genius people.
Geniuses, crazy maniacal geniuses. Rudy, tell everybody about the premise and the story of your show.
Okay, so the premise of my show, I guess the overall for Fury's Reach, was that there was a specific item that was a fabled thing that Ubtao gave to his people way back when, and to help them survive in the harsh jungles of Choltwin, they followed him over. And this item had been lost and then recently uncovered as a way to possibly bring back Dindar, the Night Serpent. And Dodger's character was actually in Cholt well before either of our groups got there, finding, like, searching, tracking this thing down, and recovered a map that basically had some little tricks on its own, but that would reveal the location of where the pulse was to a degree.
Right.
And she ended up getting captured by the very people that had the pulse, and they had to go and rescue her, but she was able to get the map out through her, I'm not going to say like henchman, but like your accomplice,
Sure.
who was later caught and tortured and did not make it.
Tragically.
Tragically,
Got real messed up.
is hanging out in the Soulmonger now.
Right.
Yeah. And after that, Ivan's character was her brother, and she had mailed the letter to him. She usually sends him like little memos about her escapades, and he turns those into books, like cheesy pulp romance action novels. And
Lots of covers with me ripping my shirt off. Yeah.
that's a very interesting thought.
Yeah, just super muscular.
Yeah.
Right? That was, yeah.
And sometimes your character in those stories, like they're not necessarily all about you,
Yeah.
but you're almost like the Mad Max
I
character.
was literally going to say I'm Mad Max.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
like
involved, but
exactly
Yeah.
you're the common denominator between all of these stories.
Sure.
So it's like Reef Ambrose and the Drow's Wish.
Right.
And it's like all these things about this drow and like her dryad love affair and like all this other thing, and yet somehow you're involved.
just show up for a chapter like, hey.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Well, let's talk about the characters. Sig.
Well, so I'll finish what I'm saying
Okay,
about the thing
all
is
right.
that so Ivan shows up, and there are other people looking for this gem and for the map, and that's kind of where things get off on the first step. And Mylin's character is directly she's on the beach. She finds them on the beach after his ship gets attacked by the turtle dragon, and ends up taking him to Port Ninzaru, and along with Grant and O'Hara's character, and then they run back out. They have some escapades in the city. He ends up hiring them to take them to go into the jungle, and they run into this guy.
And now I would like to talk to the characters.
There you go.
Sig, what was you?
I was Lepad.
And what is Lepad?
Lepad's a grung. He's a green grung, and yeah, he was a big fan of Chohan Wielder's books, and he read them to the grung, which is
How
kind
did
of
you get the books?
rare.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
There's a black
I got them
market.
somewhere.
So there's
Yeah.
a city black market, and actually, if you guys like Adventures League stuff, you can see all about how the Grung traverse the Port Ninzaru black market.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because that's something that actually Satine made sure was in her module.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
just
What
like
is
You get them on
go
the
to the
black
black
market.
market.
yeah. So you trade for different things and whatnot. 'Cause You're
Satchel.
not really allowed in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not really allowed inside the city too much. We covered that in one of the
Yep.
episodes too.
Yeah, because yeah.
So, Sig, how did they find you?
So they ended up falling into the spawning pools, and I recognized, at first it was like, oh, who are you guys? And then I recognized it was Johan, and I was like, wait, oh, you're Johan. So I tried to help him get out so he could write more books and things like that. But they always say, don't meet your idols, because Johan Wielder as a person, Lepad doesn't typically like, but he loves his books. So it was that passion that drove him to keep Johan alive.
Aw, you guys were bosom pals by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got that way.
Yeah.
You were starstruck for a little bit, which was a phenomenal thing to play with.
Totally.
Yeah, I really liked how you were like, well, you're going to write about us. You're going to tell the true story of the Grung. We're not all evil. That was really fun.
Yeah,
Aw.
and the naivety of the character going through like some of the things in port was fantastic. Like the inside the cigarettes and stuff was great.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, and someone was eating a Grung in front of you, and you went on a dinosaur race.
I got drunk with a guy and played some drinking games. Johan left me. And
Did
then
you take a bath
yeah,
with
I
Johan?
think we had multiple baths together, at least twice. Yeah.
So what was your class?
I was a level 3 rogue and a level 3 monk.
Cool.
So you gotta smack people around a lot.
A little sweet sneak attack damage.
Yeah, they got the
Pow!
pokey poke too.
Sneak
Yeah.
smack.
And a poke poke.
Yeah.
Yep, the poke poke.
Dodger.
Yes.
What was your character?
My character was Reef Ambrose, and they found me like halfway through the campaign, which was fun. And you guys had talked to me about it a long time ago, like so long ago. Satine texted me and was like, "We have a character we really want you to play." I was like, "All right." And yeah, they basically told me like I'm Indiana Jones, and I was like, "Great, sounds awesome." So I'm a level 6 thief, at least in season 1, and yeah, they found me all tied up, and I'm kind of a happy-go-lucky adventurer. Like I'm just jazzed to be doing cool, fun stuff, which was really fun to play because I normally play like kind of either terrible people or I play characters that are a bit more like subdued and nervous. So it was fun to just play somebody who was like, let's do this, I'm so excited.
Balls
Like,
to the wall.
yeah, so that was kind of fun.
But like what I loved about you two specifically was how much you bought into basically everything, and there was like never a moment where I felt like you guys were like, wait a minute, I wouldn't do this. There was just like because you know we had we worked on creating your characters, and then when I had relinquished entire for whatever I didn't need anymore for story control stuff, right, to get you guys set off and to make it all make sense initially, you guys took those characters and created that entire kind of almost the entire way that Grungs speak English, based off of your conversations with us, where we're just like, oh, we think it might be a little like this thing or that thing, and you're like, okay, I have an idea, let me go, and you came back and you were like, sir, Johan, the other one, like you really came up with that, and then yours was just like, that's exactly what you were. You were just like, yeah, let's do this. And I thought, because Indy is not necessarily that kind of a character.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a little disgruntled that he has to be doing this, like nobody else could do it. But you're actually like enthusiastic about the saving the world portion, and enough for no other reason except for to save the world.
It felt, because I kind of wanted to go that way anyway, but especially since the first game that I was on, I wasn't really there for like an hour or so, right?
Yeah.
So I got to just kind of observe, and it felt like a lot of the personalities were a bit more serious or like really focused, and I kind of wanted to be a more energetic character because I felt like it might balance a bit more.
It was the perfect balance to
Thank you.
Johan's character, because he's the one that.
That was the other thing. Is like the second I saw Ivan, I was like, oh no! If I'm his sibling, like I can't be the same kind of person. Like I have to be like that sort of character.
I want to hear Rudy. You made all the characters. Like,
Well, we
made, but like this one was your baby though. Like this was really like a lot you. So can you talk about how you picked the characters and put all this hodgepodge group of people together?
Well, I think that a lot of it came out of we both had kind of an idea of what we wanted to do, and by both I mean you and me, Satine, had a good idea of like kind of what we wanted this story to be surrounding Cholt, which is great because originally when we got it, we thought we were actually just supposed to run the actual campaign.
Right.
But we found out that we were supposed to run something totally like alongside it that had like no actual portion of the thing, but should link in and out. So in about a week, we were like, oh, I like this and I like this and I like this, and then we're like, I don't know how much those like. How much do those actually work? Well, how can we make them work? Well, what about this? Well, I want to do pirates. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. But yours is funny because like I get this call out of the blue, and you're like, I was in the shower and I had a vision, and this is what it was. I was like, oh, cool,
That's usually my
okay.
best writing space. It's a shame that they haven't created waterproof computers that are actually decent.
Right.
Because I would just like I would be the reason LA's in a drought.
I figured it out though. I have like a Sharpie types like
Yes.
a thing in the shower,
Go
so I
over there,
actually
you
can
beautiful
draw on
thing.
some of my shower parts. Shower parts on the walls is what I'm talking about, not my shower parts.
The
Sure,
glass.
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got
Sorry,
you.
I'm distracted by the cat that's meowing. Oh, RPG.
Your animals
Everybody
are just
RPG.
your animals just know when the cameras turn on.
There's a
know,
wonderful
darling.
zoo of
Well,
beautiful
we have
creatures
We have a
here.
lot of questions actually in here, and I want to make
Oh,
sure we
sick.
get to them. One of the things is we set it up early on so that you guys could interact with what my group did. How did you guys feel when that happened? Like when you picked something up and you were like, I bet you this was from the other group.
Well, for me, like at first, you don't really realize it until
Yeah.
a little bit in, like getting more clues, and you're like, oh, okay, somebody else must have been doing some stuff, and that was like fun little things. But we still like the whole time I was guessing, like, oh, what were they doing? You know, like, what
Yeah.
are their motives? I don't know, but
I think, yeah, at first you don't know to look for it. And I think once you know to look for things, you're like, that was the other group. That was the other group that did that.
Yeah, like where are the anomalies? Like where are the things that are so weird that they shouldn't be in a jungle? Why are these getting called out in this way? How am I stumbling upon
I think
this?
the most obvious one was the finale, right? The big like lobster creature that just had an arm in its like claw, and I was like, that's somebody's arm. That's definitely somebody's arm.
Also, why did we find 2 random dinosaurs named Left and Satine?
There's that.
I can't believe he named it Satine. He looked
That was
dead
a
in
big
the
old
eye when they
giveaway.
were naming them,
Yeah,
and
right.
was like, Satine. It's like, ugh. So Satine was Brett.
And you guys didn't get the advantage either that the other group got, was that when you went in and got little baby JJ, here's a hint,
God.
never name a thing.
That's why I don't name my fish, because they always die.
Yeah. When you guys went in there and got them, the other group was actually up on a balcony a few hundred feet away, and they, or like not a balcony, but like a ledge, and they were fighting their way down. So when you guys ran out of that thing and you just saw like a massacre on the way out, that was actually her group on the
That
way
was us.
in.
Right.
And when you guys got in there and took little JJ off of the thing and ran it back, they were watching you do it. So they had an idea that you were there the whole time.
I actually
Okay.
narrated what you guys did
Nice.
for them at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
So
That's
there was,
cool.
it
That's
looked awesome. Like if you watch it, if you guys watched the episode that they're fighting their way to save the Grung, it's long, right? But there's a really fun synopsis of what it looked like in like a cinematic video game style, where it's just like you take your whip and you grab this guy and you kick another guy off. And
I felt
someone,
really
like,
cool in that
It
fight.
was
Can I
Spartan
just
really
kick?
say?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite almost dying.
I was gonna say later, Rudy was
Shortest
like,
episode.
if you had rolled bad, you were gonna straight up fall into that volcano. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's no joke, man.
I'm glad that I didn't roll bad then.
I think you critted that one roll.
I think I did too.
But it was good because had you natural won that, you would have gone in.
I
And
would've
I'd have been
died
like,
for
well,
sure.
thanks for showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my worst battle.
Yeah, it
Just
was.
Through my equal, and
Normally
I'm
you
just
got
frozen.
really good hits in, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Normally in
Like
fights you
weird
were just like,
rolls.
nah. It was awesome.
Okay, so everyone's favorite part, starting with Rudy.
I think that I really enjoyed the stuff in the ziggurat in the mall, and the way that Ivan ran with a lot of that, because it was, he was late to his signing, and then he had to basically hang. Because, like, okay, sure, for some reason, our adventurers felt like treating Grung like children, because even Lepad he treated you like a child when he was dragging you through the mall and, like, put you in his coat and, like, all this other stuff, and it's like, what about this little frog makes you think that it's like poisoning you every time, and he's, like, hopping up and down stairs and stuff. I really enjoyed that one, but I also really enjoyed like those random things that happened that I didn't expect, like when they burned Grant, and so he never got to play again.
Poor Grant.
I wasn't even there for it, and it still makes me laugh every time people talk about it.
It wasn't my idea, but I was definitely okay with it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
You did stomp him on the head with the dinosaur.
Yeah, that was the first time. He died.
What was your favorite part, Sig?
Yeah, maybe. There's so many. Yeah, the ziggurat was really fun. Anytime I get to mess with Johan. But yeah, no, maybe running over Grant with that dinosaur was pretty rad.
Talk a little, we'll come back to you, Dodger,
it's totally
but
fine.
talk about the ziggurat, because Rudy and I had so much fun making that, but if you can tell everyone what that experience was like.
Yeah, well, the group wanted to split, and then I could tell that Ivan didn't want me to go with him, so I was like, I'll go with you, Chahan. And then like this little tag along, and then he's late for his book signing, and then there was Volo was there.
Yeah.
And I saw Johan getting upset, so yeah, I jumped on. I tried to attack Volo, but he's like, boop.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes.
That's pretty great.
Because that was just like, well, there's Volo's guide, right?
Yeah.
And just to have him there and have you guys interact with a character that everyone knows about was actually really cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Your favorite?
My favorite moment was probably JJ barfing up so much water that we almost died. Because it was so bizarre, but it did a lot of things, I think, story-wise, because like JJ had, the pulse inside and was already a magical creature. So
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler. So to have like this moment where she needs water, right? Like she needs water and has so much magic to create water with that she creates so much water we're drowning. Like I thought that like really showcased like this thing has a lot of power in it, and right now there's a literal like child that is in control of it, you know, and like maybe doesn't even realize. And I thought that it was a really, really cool. It was a cool thing for all of us to overcome, and I thought that it was nice that at the end we were all fine, technically.
That was like one of the closest calls, I think.
It was. You guys
Yeah.
almost all wiped.
Yeah.
That was. You guys almost got TPK'd by a baby grung.
I know.
Can you imagine if we
Our
all
guys just like
died?
walked out of it too. It was hilarious. I was like, oh, well, that wasn't okay. So just curious, how would you have gotten the pulse out of the grung if it was up to you guys?
It always kind of felt like we couldn't to me.
Yeah,
Because-
I thought so too. I think filter. Well, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go for it.
Oh, I don't really know where I was going.
I was just going to say that because
Fitting.
it didn't have a heart, right? JJ
Yeah.
didn't have a heart. The pulse was in place of the heart, I think. So in my mind, even though we were like, oh, we need to get JJ to other grung, I was like, but it's not like they're going to do a grung heart transplant on her, right? Like, is there really any way that we can actually save her, or is this just kind of like, well, we need the pulse, and the pulse is inside of the grung?
Yeah, you
and
needed
so-
to extract it as safely as possible, and you had a guy in Port Zaru, but you didn't have like that was basically like you were gonna go there and see what they said about
Sure.
what is going on here, like a guy or the guy's like little group or like whatever it was, and it was basically that was a very Indiana Jones thing where he's like, well, I know a guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we had also seen the last grung that had the pulse, right? So we knew that this thing also rapidly aged grung. So the longer that we had this whole sequence where it was like you're just desperately trying to survive, you're constantly running out of water, like move as far as you can, but then you need more water, and like that whole thing, I was like, this thing's like, there's no way. Like,
Yeah.
the pulse is gonna rapidly age this grung, and then we weren't even totally sure of what we were gonna do in the first place. So
Yeah, that's like filtering my thoughts through what Lepad was thinking. It was like, I don't know, we have this thing.
what do you mean? It's your own like.
No, I mean like we got the pulse, but it's you know it's in a
Oh, you
grung.
mean the pulse? I thought you meant the grung, and I was like, you're a grung, don't call it
sorry.
a thing.
We have the pulse, but it's also in a grung, and then it was only inevitable that we'd all get attached to it because it's an adorable little grung
Yeah.
baby.
That
You
made you
named it,
eat
that was your
constantly,
fault.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can
so
I
neat.
tell him about what my sorceress tried to do?
I think it. Well, yeah. I mean, it's
just
about
a
like.
thing. It
Yeah,
wasn't-
I don't think you're really spoiling anything. Probably everybody here either watched it or is going to
This
watch.
is for them.
You know, later. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that they can probably. I think it's okay for them to know at this point.
So my storm sorceress, she was learning how to pull water from the air.
No meta.
No meta.
No meta.
And she was really concerned because one of the tabaxi guides picked up the heart in the
Oh,
volcano.
okay.
Because it was like just thrown. And so it was all dehydrated, gross and dirty. And so she like washes it off. And while they're on watch overnight, she's trying to figure a way to basically send water through it to get it moving
To
and
keep
pumping.
it working, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So she
that's
was working
cool.
on it.
Yeah.
She was working on a transplant situation.
Man.
May have happened.
Yeah.
Because when there's magic, there's no science.
Right.
We're about to go to questions. If you guys want to ask your questions, will have them here in front of me, so go ahead and type in your questions. Yeah, let's see what questions. We have a couple questions already.
Hit us.
It's okay. It's okay.
Beep, beep, beep.
Loving those lovins.
She's just
There's
she's
lot
a
of
ham.
comments.
This little cat's like a bigger ham than anybody else I know.
Here's a question from me. What did you guys expect coming into this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
The only thing that you guys really expected was like the whole thing where I was like, this is Chult. It's going to be super dangerous. If you die, that's going to be it for your character. You're not going to re-roll, and it's going to get dark.
Yeah, I knew to expect that things were going to be difficult because you kind of prepped me for that, I think. Like, the first time that we talked, it was, all right, this is a new area. People don't come back to life. Like, it's... And as a thief character and having not played any sort of a rogue character in a long time, I was like, I need to be careful because every other rogue I've ever played, I've done something really stupid and I'm too squishy for that. And I go in and I die. And I was like, I can't do that again. I gotta be smarter.
Yeah.
So.
And I told you, like, those were talks that, like, because you were one of the first people that we thought about casting for this when we went through this. So I talked to you about that stuff, like, early.
Yeah.
And then probably reiterated it before you joined again to be like, now remember.
By the way. Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect because I don't know. Most of the campaigns I played have been like one game,
shots.
like sit down. This is the longest campaign I've ever played, and I don't know. I guess I was just really excited to develop the characters over many campaigns.
Oh yeah.
So or
Many-
a single campaign,
yeah.
many episodes.
Many
I
sessions.
guess. Yeah, sessions. That's a good word.
Yeah, do you feel like you preferred a longer game to
Yeah,
like a one-session
for
game?
sure.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
We just want to play.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the best parts about this platform is that it is a game that is very much lends itself to a longer episodic thing. And the best part about what this does is it almost like locks us into being like, you better friggin' show up.
For those of you who are just jumping in, as I'm seeing, I have no idea what's going on. Rudy and I have been dungeon mastering 2 games on the Twitch channel, or Twitch D&D channel, called Fury's Reach. It's Tuesday and Wednesday, and we just finished 12 episodes. So we're on a break, and we are asking some of the players questions on their experiences and what it's like to be on the show. And I'm still waiting for some. People really want spoilers for the next thing that's happening, Rudy.
Spoilers? Why would you want to spoil it?
I don't know, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what happens next, because I believe
Sure.
these two are going
So
to be
both,
participating.
yeah, you guys
We're
will both
on
be
season 2.
and we know that Johan, like when we left off, basically you've wandered into a bar.
Yeah, we had that kind of like end of a Disney movie moment where I was
In a bar?
where I was about to get on the boat, and then I was like, you know what, that's not my life. That's not my life back there. And he was like, all right, bye. And so, yeah, Johan.
He went back to sell things off because he enjoyed doing the thing with you so much that
Yeah.
he's like, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Because we hope to have him back coming in a bit. And then you wandered off with the big sack of other red grung eggs to take them back to somewhere undisclosed as of yet. And we're gonna have a much larger cast on this next one. We have some people returning. We have some people that have to kind of go on hiatus for shows or whatever. And then we have some new people coming in, some that you've played with before.
Yeah, can I say?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Octopimp is going to be joining us. Alex, he's like one of my best friends in the world, and I'm so excited to have him on the show. I think that he's going to be really, really fun to play with. I've played a few role-playing games with him before, and he's met Rudy and Satine now, and they all got along great. So
We did like an impromptu session over
really?
coffee. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so he's going to join us, and we have Kim Horcher is going to join us. She does stuff on the Young Turks, right? And she's super excited to play. Oh yeah. And we have Ryan Omega is actually going to be joining us as our 6th. So he's really psyched to play as well. We won't spoil what classes or how or when they're coming, but I guess there's no point in hiding who it is.
Yeah.
And mine is called Fury's Fate because it deals with the aftermath of what you guys did and what Satine's group did. There's just like a flurry
So much
of hair.
cat hair.
I was going to say, I can just see it like puffing up as you scratch her.
Better than her crying.
Yes.
So that's basically like what it's basically just going to deal with what you guys had seen before. That's why like when she's like, can I say about some things? I was like, I don't know how much I want you guys to know because that's less that I can weave.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then Satine's game will have stuff that weaves as well, still.
Yeah, we're just going to keep weaving things in and out.
Oh, cool.
Keep expanding the universe a little bit more within
You guys had a
streaming.
spoiler at the end of your show with somebody coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, that is true.
The captain from my show sat down and is hanging out with you guys now.
Yeah.
Because he decided that he was no longer fit to be a captain, and he went to the same bar that you guys just, of all the gin joints, and
it turned out we know each other, and
there's some background there, and you guys are
Yeah.
gonna have to figure out what that is as they go forward. We're not gonna like put it on the nose or anything like that, because I think that's a really juicy story point to play with.
yeah, that was fun. That was a fun way to round it off, to have him like swap in.
I think so too.
We are so clever.
Yeah, right.
People want to know who you are, so Dodger, you start. Tell
Like,
us
just in
who
for
you
reals
are
life?
and what
For
do you
reals
do
Oh.
in your coffee.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dodger. I'm a YouTuber and streamer. So I stream on twitch.tv/dexteritybonus, or dexbonus now. I switched it. It's dexbonus
Shorter,
now.
smarter.
Yeah. It's also the same as all my other social media, so I've
Easy.
got the unified branding now.
Yes,
you know?
good.
Yeah, and I have a coffee company that's about to launch called Dodger Coffee Co. And I just basically like BS about games and anime all day, every
All
day.
day, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's super fun. And yeah, and I've known Satine forever. And I'm newly friends with Sig and Rudy, and they're great.
And we actually all met at the same time at CCD20 last year.
At Charity 20?
Right.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a whole lot of time to hang out and interact. Were you in my game, or did you play Phoenix Dawn Command?
No, I was in your game.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you played Phoenix with Keith.
I did Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah. But outside of that, like, I mean, we had a little bit of time to like kind of like say hi and do whatever, but it was wonderful to have the opportunity to click with you in a way that we did, because like it doesn't feel like I've only known you for a year.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
I think that's a product of D&D in and of itself, like, or just role-playing games, because we kind of have to strip ourselves very bare in order to really engage and have as much fun as we can with it.
Yeah.
But it's been wonderful to get to know you that way, and same with you, Sig. Like, you guys, both of your characters were so awesome, because you did just drive, like, when I said something, you were just like, yeah, what? Let me think about how that changes things.
I was
Which is awesome.
crying laughing. Neil and I were crying laughing in the back. Pretty much anyone that was back there with me. You guys were so silly, hilarious.
In the face of all the craziness that was going
Oh
on.
my gosh,
It's,
you
it's
guys
great
were
to have like a
brilliant.
group that, because like, you know, if you're gonna bounce a joke off somebody, it's gotta like, they gotta bounce it back, or
Yeah.
it's gonna fall flat. So
Yeah.
you gotta, you know, it was really awesome to play with everybody.
Sig, who are you? Tell everybody who
Oh,
you are.
Well, I'm Sig Neutron. I have a silly name, and I do makeup effects. I like monsters. I've worked on Tron Legacy, Sucker Punch, Real Steel, painted some Klingons for the new Star Trek Discovery.
Ooh.
That's mainly what I do, but now I'm just, well, I've always played tabletop games, and big Magic the Gathering fan. And
Face Off.
Yeah, oh, there's that too, yeah. I was on Face Off, season 7, and I actually won the All-Star season 11.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
Hell yeah, well
I mean,
deserved.
that's pretty impressive. The first time the first time I met you before CCD20 was in that Comic-Con, and you had Rainey dressed up in like this living spell book kind of thing with like all of these like pages of glyphs like weaving off of
Is
her.
it the demon one, probably?
Yeah, I think so.
The Xyle.
I-
from the Dead?
You dress her up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, to be
You
fair,
can tell
There's
from
a
his
ton of-
face, he's
yeah.
like, I've done so many.
Yeah.
Comic
My favorite is when she dressed up like you. That
Oh,
was,
that was pretty
the
good.
best.
But
You
yeah.
stream sometimes too.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
just
just
started
started
streaming.
my own Twitch, just Sig Neutron on Twitch, and also Sig Neutron on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yep.
So
We should do a thing together sometime. I think that would be
should.
super fun.
I'm totally
what, like
down,
play
really
D&D
down.
or something?
Yeah, we should play D&D. And maybe paint our faces. I don't know.
No, so we have a bunch of minis from like WizKids and stuff like that are unpainted. If you guys just want to like paint, like I would love to have some time
Oh,
to
that
just
would
sit
be
and
fun.
paint.
I suck at
Yeah, I
painting.
think
Because
we
I
have
don't
an
get any time.
extra
How do you
week.
suck at
I'm,
painting?
like,
How is that
really
even a
bad at
thing?
Painting, no miniatures.
I'll
I'm
give you a
just
big
bad.
one.
If you got something big?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one of those
A
huge,
shrink
like,
it.
Maybe the
Oh,
biggest,
yeah.
So you
the
paint
biggest
one
one
that's
they got.
big, and
No.
then
Dude,
oven
you
it,
don't want to give
and then it
you
shrinks.
don't want to tell me that. I have the Reaper Bones kit from like last year or something like that. I have so many large models. I will just be like, here, bud. Some assembly required. We'll use it in game, I swear.
Rudy Rutenberg. Who are you?
My name is Rudy. You can find me on as Rudy Woot on basically everything. I was really happy when I stumbled upon that as like a thing. Like I just love saying Woot already, and it was like, you know, it's from gaming. Like you just Woot, you know, whatever, and then it just has like a little ring to it.
it also works because Rudy Wootenberg.
Oh, Rudenberg, yeah. So Woot, yeah, okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now I'm not going to stop saying that.
Wait, am I the first person to say
actually,
that?
the whole time I thought you were Rudy Wootenberg. You're Rudy Rudenberg?
Yeah.
Rudy
Oh.
Rutenberg.
Well then.
Yes.
Woot,
I'm
Woot.
still
Who
just
are
going to
you
think
and
of
what
you
do
as
you do?
Wootenberg.
Well, I'm an actor here in LA. Well, I started out as an actor, and I still get to do that. I still do a lot of voiceover work on movies mostly, and I do a lot of I write. So I've had some stuff optioned. I've had some deals happen, and like Hollywood, a lot of them don't necessarily go through fruition, but. You know, I've made some money off of doing some of that, so I can call myself a professional WGA writer, and
Nice.
I'm a SAG actor, and I produce a hell of a lot of content now, a week. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about the amount of content that we're producing on a week, it's like kind of more than most people produce in a season for things, because we're putting up somewhere around 12 to 15 hours of content a week.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
before we just started the new stuff with Chris and stuff like that. And those aren't the one grung above. Like we don't have to actually physically produce those, but that's still like we got to prep for those. You know, if you're doing D&D right, you actually know your character. You've thought about things. You've written little backstory things, and you're doing a lot of background work for the characters to make sure that they are vibrant and that they give you something to play with. They
Sure.
give you something to play with.
Guild Adepts.
Guild Adepts, that's right. So I'm a published
Adventures League.
I'm a published author for fantasy gaming, mostly with Dungeons and Dragons. We are guild authors. We're 2 of 10 in the world guild authors. We just had a bunch of stuff that went up at the beginning of the month that D&D flipped through, and they were like, yep, this stuff is fantastic. Let's go ahead and make this Adventures League legal. So we did that, and then we also both have adventures coming out. I have one coming out, I think, this week or this weekend for 7-3 for the new season for Chult, in which we get to play with some new rules for racing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. I saw it. Here's a question for Rutenberg.
Oh, and we're working on the new stuff for the next book already.
Yeah,
The
we
new
are.
Adventures League stuff for Xanathar's already.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So that's going to be fun.
It's a lot. I'm tired, but
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Rudy, question for you.
Shoot.
Helpful co-DMing tips.
Okay.
Because that, Rudy and I are best friends. And then we fought a lot. And now we don't fight so much. How did we get there?
Well, I think that the fighting stuff is just, we're both creative people, right? So there's going to be disagreements on how somebody does a thing anyway. But then DMing is such a style-specific thing, and DMs, just like players, have very, like if you think about like the different aspects of being a DM, it's almost like a different class of a character, right? So some DMs have a stronger style in one section or the other. And when you're starting to co-DM with somebody else, it's really about making those things mesh. And the key to really human life is communication. I'm hungry, don't stab me, can you bring home something at the end of the day? Like anything like that is the same way as co-DMing a thing works when you're even if you're doing it on separate streams like we were and we were just writing the story together, because you see a lot of stuff in Hollywood just fall apart because the 2 people that created it can't agree on anything.
Sure.
And a lot of that is due to the communication. So especially if you're talking about co-DMing at the same time, that comes down to the appropriate preparation, both knowing the story, but then on top of that, acknowledging the strengths of the other person and acknowledging that when one person or the other should step in. And you can have a seamless thing where you guys are almost stepping on top of each other. And that almost is what makes it beautiful, because it's like there's no gaps in the storytelling. There's no gaps in how combat runs. Whatever. If you watched our Stream of Annihilation stream where we came in and we were co-DMing as a prequel to this, there's this back and forth that happens, and there's even this moment where when she's doing a thing, I can actually be like making sure that if somebody's missing something on a sheet or something like that, like I can be moving around and behind the shadows, and she can do the same thing where we're facilitating for a player something that would normally slow down a regular game, because we're both confident in the other person. Not like we don't have any ego in those moments, because it's not about whether or not she's better or I'm better, because it's only that game and that story that matters.
Do we have enough time to tell the things? Go, go, go. A
Yeah.
lot of those notes that we were writing down were go, 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 slow, faster, keep
Pace.
going, move this.
Right.
Yeah, we were keeping pace.
And sometimes one of the things that's very big about like most DMs, right, is that you have to be able to adjust something on the fly. Well, when you've got two people and you have to like, okay, well, we have to make sure both of us are on the same page with the adjustment.
Well, I mean, like, we even had a couple of episodes, and I was only here for half the season, so this might have happened more often, but there were a couple of episodes where, like, you were like, Satine?
Yeah.
Satine had to, like, come on and, like, you whispered at her, like, because something needed to be decided, like, now,
Yep.
right? And we couldn't know about it, so it was like, everything paused for just a second.
Right. And
Yeah.
if we were co-DMing that would be a thing that we're so used to. Basically, we could scribble it like 3 or 4 words, and she knows well enough from our prior communications what I'm getting at, or vice versa. But so it's not something long enough to stop the stream and be like, so what do you think about this? And like take a sidebar. But it's enough that like we just needed to have a quick powwow and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Gigi, come here. Not everyone wants to play with you.
What do you? What's next?
What is next is, okay, so that was our experience, but do you have a tip?
Communicate. Absolutely communicate. And your ego does nobody any good. Ego is a negative trait. It doesn't do any. It's meant to protect you, and in that situation, you're facilitating a story, and the story always has to come first. If your ego is in it, you're kind of doing it wrong, and that's the only time, because ego is not fun. So it's not like you're saying you're doing your fun wrong.
Right.
You're purposely not having fun because you're afraid of something.
We have 15 minutes left, so get your questions in. Let's see. Have you ever thought on doing
dabbing because we have 15 minutes left.
Have you ever thought on doing some content sharing tips for people to learn how to dungeon master?
What you mean, like your DM tips? Like, what do you mean by content?
Yeah, that's weird. I think there's somebody that we all know who does that.
In the room,
probably
maybe.
on Geek and Sundry or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
go to Geek and Sundry and look it up.
yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a show that's literally just like
Maybe
DM
it's called
tips.
DM tips. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Matt, like,
It's really good. It's
think-
really good. Yeah.
I think there's been some pretty prolific DMs on there too. Like I think
Rudy?
Matt Mercer was on it. I think Matt Koval's on it. I think
Rudy?
Did I go on it?
At least twice.
Oh, I was on it. Ivan's there, and that's a fun thing too, because like you can talk about co-DMing, but what happens when a player is used to DMing, right? And you have like a situation like that. Sometimes
That's
that can
one
be
of
a
the
really
reasons
big
I wish
ally.
Ivan was here right now, because Ivan had so many moments where he was like, "Is that how that works?" And I was like, like, there were so many moments where you could just feel like a split second of fire between you and Ivan, where Ivan was like, "But," and you were like, "Don't." Just.
But
and
he
the
got
DM
it
don't.
too. That was a thing that, you know, I'm sitting in the back taking notes, sending him text messages, and I'd feel something happening. But but it was nice, or they kind of understood.
They always like, again, they always communicated well, like in that moment, and it was never like a long like actually sort of a situation, because Ivan's awesome, you know.
Yeah,
So-
well, and we've been playing together for a while actually. Ivan and I have, and we have a very strong mutual respect for each other. And we love playing with each other, no matter
Yeah.
who's DMing or if we're. Actually, I don't think we've gotten to play like side by side ever. It's always been one or the other of us DMing. So we're always like very much like, I just want to have this moment. I feel bad for the DM that has to handle the two of us at the same time.
I'd do it. Here's a question for the two of you.
Yes.
What was your favorite monster to fight? Or I guess your favorite encounter in this?
Okay.
While you're thinking about that, I will just say that I do kind of, whenever we get some free time, Satine, if our business model allows it, I would like to do like GM philosophy. So like taking like the existentialism of life and applying it to being a dungeon master and storytelling. Okay, sorry.
I'm trying to think of the
Yeah,
encounter.
favorite. Well, okay. I mean, there was
The
the
door
one, like,
puzzle.
I
That
don't know,
was a
like
good
episode-
encounter. That was my favorite monster.
That entire episode was one trap.
I was sitting there, like, the whole time I was like, I knew the answer to it. I was like, why didn't I say something sooner? Like, just
I know,
smack 'em
I
in
had
order,
this-
and I
I
was
had
like,
the same
I think we were both on the same
feeling
page. And like,
that
should
it
we
was
do it
too
that
simple,
way? But
right?
yeah, right. And we
Yeah.
were all overthinking it. I
Yeah.
think.
Sorry, what were you going to say before I
Oh,
did
no,
my
you're
goof?
fine. No, was it episode 1 or 2? I think it was 2 where like I just leapt onto the back of that dinosaur that we weren't even supposed to fight. It was just supposed to be kind of scary.
I think that was the first episode.
Is that the
It was
T-Rex?
one-
Yeah, it was the first episode.
Because Johan was whimpering, and I was afraid that he was going to get him, so I just jumped on his eyeballs.
Oh yeah, you like
Yeah. Uh-huh.
right onto the
And
eyeball.
then somehow we took it down.
Yeah, you did.
We were like, oh.
A T-Rex hopping
it.
around due to your poison is
That's
yeah.
amazing. Giant T-Rex.
I always forget about that.
Boom.
I keep forgetting about the grung like skin
They just
stuff.
kept touching him. They
It's-
just
You
wouldn't
never
stop
failed a
touching.
single check on the grung poison.
I don't think I ate. I failed on JJ, but I
On the-
never
yeah.
failed on you.
Yeah.
I thought that it would have been hilarious if I failed that final one on the very last episode. I'm just like, it's been great, buddy. Like, just touching you and just, oh no.
See you later. Hop
Okay,
off
well,
into the sunset.
Bye.
Yeah, hop into your local bar.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean, what is it? The Yanti? What was that snake?
The
person?
snake?
Oh my god, that was like.
Oh my
it
God,
was
I
like
forgot
actually
about that
legitimately
fight.
terrifying at first. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, how are we gonna get out of this? And then it was like, I think that's where the episode ended. And then we came back and we're all still really scared. And then all of a sudden, the next scene, it's just like, I just felt bad for the guy.
I
It's
love
just
that. Like, we were on the same page of, let's just leave. Like, it's not, like, it's super messed up, right? We should just go. And Mylin was like, no, we're killing it. And we were like, oh no.
And that was
We
like
just
from the
feel
get-go.
bad.
I was trying to talk to him, and then just, pew, like bolt just smacked.
Yeah, because he actually was not like the whole point of that thing
It
was
was all
just
about the eggs, right?
It was about the eggs.
Yeah.
And it was just that he didn't even care that you guys had stolen items from him. It was all about those eggs.
Yeah.
And he
And
was totally cool
I
with
think
it.
that was like kind of obvious too. The fact that I always assume if an encounter starts with a thing that we might have to fight talking, I'm like, there's probably a way for this conversation to go, right? But
yeah, I'm
that's
not really a supervillain kind of guy. Like I don't give you guys monologues for like I
Right.
don't have like somebody walk
so
out and
that we
start
can
talking
like
about
adjust
things.
ourselves to be in the right position to like take it down easier.
No, but he was fine. Like he was just like, "What are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you taking my stuff?" You know?
Can I have those eggs
We're
back?
in his
Yeah.
house.
All right,
I mean,
cool.
It's not like we're good people. We stole his stuff, and it's like,
That's-
we
yeah.
Just burned him alive. Oh my god.
That was one lucky roll from Johan and one terrible roll for him. And he just was on.
Hell,
I
you-
could not roll. That was the one time when I never rolled anything above like a 13 or something.
Right.
And
You
he needed
rolled
a
a 1.
On the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, just he never got higher than like a 12 or a 13 for that every round he was burning. And you guys just like kind of walked away at a certain point. He still didn't stop.
Yeah.
We were just chilling.
Yeah.
Somehow, this is a really good question. Why are the icons on the bottom of the screen the same, except for some reason your name is different, but it says that you are a level 6 Grung Rogue Monk?
Amazing.
Ah.
How that is possible that happened, I have no
Heck
I
yeah,
have no
I
idea how
am.
many episodes. that was
Spoilers.
on.
This was the true reveal all along.
She's a human. Just so you know, she's a human.
Was that
Peel off
really
my
that the
human
whole
body.
time? Or just
I have
right now?
no idea.
I think that was probably just from you
The-
frantically fixing the thing real
No.
fast. You
This
really?
is from a previous episode. I was reusing.
Oh
Oh,
man.
yes. Yes.
And that's
Somebody
There are people
fire
who
our.
showed up
Here's
and thought
a
I was a
question for
grunt.
you. We've
Yes,
got like
yes.
8 minutes left.
Yeah.
What was it like for you guys to play on stream versus at a table? And what were like the hard parts to think of and remember? Ash, come here.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
boy.
Really
Lay down.
do that.
Like, I'm bored and
Yeah,
I
he's
want to
a-
be pet.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good. Okay.
Stream versus home game type thing. Right?
Yeah, there are things that you have to think about when you're sitting at a table playing in front of a camera, and other things you don't really worry about when you're just at home with your friends and your bowls of
Sure.
food.
Do you want me to take this first? I've played
go down the...
almost entirely on stream games for the last few years. So for me, I'm very, very used to doing D&D on stream. The thing that's really fun and different about this is that means almost every game I've played for the last few years has been over Skype.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been really nice to be at a table, like interacting directly with people. Because it's kind of like the difference between seeing a movie and seeing live theater, right? Like there's a different electricity when you're like interacting with people and you're like acting out a scene. Like it's a very different feeling. Not saying that the games that I do on Skype aren't still super fun, but this is a different feel doing this game. So it's been really fun to do it.
Yeah, one of the major things I think for me, because I came up, the way I learned to DM was basically Trial Through Fire and Adventures League. They were just like, here, go do it.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm, okay. And as a dungeon master, one of the best feelings is that feeling of that energy around the table when you're pulling people in and like when you're purposely getting quieter, you're purposely like pushing out to increase the pace or pull back and watching people react to you. And I noticed that when you do it in a live stream a lot of times, unless you already know that person very well and you've played at table before, it's hard for your brain to connect what that imagery is like all the time and like how you, because at a certain point you know what that person feels like, I guess, and so your communication is okay going through the internet. But there's nothing like sitting at a table with other people and having that electricity go back and forth and being able to know, like really feel that Dodger's starting to get a little down or something like that, and I need to shift focus and pull you back in.
Right, yeah.
And that's definitely a harder thing. I would say the biggest thing about stream versus just a standard home game or anything at a store is the crosstalk. And we're all very big about the role-playing aspect of a thing because mechanics you can do, with any MUD or any, game anywhere really. Like they're mostly, the basis of a game is its mechanics. But the best thing about an RPG is being able to take those as a framework and then create an actual storytelling environment from that. That's what I really enjoy about being in the same room. And it's not that you can't do that on a stream. It's just a little more challenging to find the connectivity so you can communicate appropriately. Your time.
Well, I mean, everybody loves home games, so we can't, they're awesome. But I think with streaming a game, it ramps up the excitement because just as playing like, I don't know, Overwatch or something on the stream, it's like, you have this audience that they like see, like, I don't know, you like do this like crit hit and you do something really cool and you're like, did you guys just see that? I just did that. So it's like exciting, and then like the more people that you have watching and like a game show or something, it's like, oh, they're hoping that you succeed and everyone's happy that you did.
Rooting for you.
So it's just, I don't know, I think it ramps up the energy more.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though, I mean, home games still have energy and we all love that, but
Yeah, but in a home game also, like, at least in every home game that I've ever been in, it's a lot of like, oh cool, I'm not part of this. All right, I'm gonna go pee and grab a snack. Like, are we back? Are you guys done with your scene? Okay, cool. I'll be there in just a sec. I'm just grabbing some chili really fast, right? Like, everybody's kind of like amorphous.
Yeah, it becomes much more about the group as a whole when you're actually on stream, and that's something that I really appreciate, especially when you're talking about a longer campaign, because you guys aren't looking for your own moment to shine.
Yeah.
You're looking to see how his moment affects everything in the story, which is great.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much going to wrap up our question.
No more
Q&A.
questions? There's no more?
Questions. Everyone wants to know GM tips from you, so you should actually get in the chat room afterwards, and I think you should just. They have a lot of Rudy questions.
Oh, okay.
But they're very like, I need dungeon master advice, and I think that'd be a really good thing for you to hang out afterwards and say hi to them.
I will try to do that for a few minutes. We have our cast dinner for the next season after this, so I will. What time is it right now?
We have 5 till. I was going to do another.
5 till 8. Okay. Sure. Do another question, and then I will hang out for 15 minutes.
Okay. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been really cool. This is Rudy and Mai's first on-stream campaign weaving thing, Fury's Reach, and you guys can watch us starting the 17th and 18th of October. Tuesday the 17th is Sirens of the Realms, and Wednesday, Rudy is taking both stories, putting them together into something called Fury's Fate, where you'll be able to see the aftermath of everything that's happened. Why don't you guys tell everyone where they can find you on the internet?
I'm Dodger. You can find me at DexBonus on pretty much all social media, and I'm at Press Heart Continue on YouTube and DexBonus on Twitch. And if you want to see dumb anime memes, come hang out with me and drink my coffee. Cool, thanks.
Go hang out with her to drink her coffee.
Yeah, both are good. Both are good, but one or the other is also fine.
I'm Rudy Rutenberg. You can find me on all the things at Rudy Woot, and you can basically come find us at Maze Arcana on anything. So if you guys have any questions, if I don't get into them today, then you guys can always send them to me on Twitter, or for longer questions, you can send them to us on Twitch directly to me at Rudy Woot on Twitch. What's up?
Yeah, I'm just at Signeutron on Instagram, Twitter. If you just search Signeutron on Facebook, I'm sure you'll find me. But, you know, just started that Twitch, so follow me on there. Twitch.tv/Signeutron.
Yep.
Come hang out.
And don't forget that we are, every Sunday, you can come watch Orphan Echo, which is our Eberron stream. So if we have any Eberron fans in the house, then you can come watch us from noon until 3 o'clock, right before Girls Guts Glory. And that's PT, that's Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, we're 3 to 6, and Girls Guts Glory is 6 to 9. But you guys can come hang out with us there. We do giveaways on basically every single stream.
Man, we have so many giveaways.
We have so many. We got a lot of them we got to catch up on too. But specifically, if you like DDO or Neverwinter or Idle Champions, we have a bunch that we have to give away very quickly. So we're going to be just like bombing chat with them as fast as we can.
Yeah, so that's Sunday. So on twitch.tv/MazeArcana, we have Sundays Orphan Echo, Mondays Anasadora, our friend, is play testing a new game that he's making, and then Tuesday and Wednesdays 6 to 9 here on twitch.tv/DND, your friends.
Starting October 18th.
Starting October 17th and 18th.
Yep.
So tune in, and we love seeing you. You guys are amazing. Like, just we get to play Dungeons and Dragons on the Dungeons and Dragons Twitch channel. Come on, it's on Maze Balls. And we have fun, and we get sad, and we get happy, and we make mistakes, and we play, and it's just a dream come true.
What are you doing in the off week? Can people still come and see you guys, or are you going to do something next Tuesday?
So next Tuesday night at 6 p.m., we will do a Q&A with the new characters from Sirens of the Realms. So yeah, that'll be 6 to 7, because afterwards I'm going to run their session 0.
And if we can get enough of our people together, we're going to bring the new cast in and play the super, super brand new Dungeons and Dragons board game before it releases.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we'll maybe do that on the 11th on that September.
Didn't you kill Shelly Moo?
So that was in Betrayal of Baldur's Gate. I think that already came out, but we have it sitting there. We just haven't had the opportunity to break it out yet. So maybe we'll see which one they want to play, but I think we're probably going to try the new one that hasn't come out yet.
So thank you guys for watching. We will do a quick shot over to Ash. Everyone's been asking, they want to see Ash.
Ash is so
We
cute.
have an Ash cam, actually. Andrea set up.
And I killed Perkins too.
Oh,
I think that's important.
This is my hellhound. His name is
Sweetheart.
Ash, Mr. Ash Cash Bagash.
He's such a good boy.
And thank you guys for watching. We love you very much, and this has just been the best. Okay, now we can go to the intro to outro. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? All right, go for it. Do it. Hey, everybody. We just figured this was going to be faster. I will talk very fast, like when you see Rudy do speed DM stuff. so I can hit as many of these questions as possible for you guys before I got to run out of here. Nick, Rachel, I kind of answered your question a little bit about ethical and moral dilemmas. To be a little bit more thorough on that, basically it's about the consequences, because the whole point of ethics and morals and your it really comes down to a character's personal code, and that code is established by nurture, not by nature. So you as a DM have to nurture the characters through your world and through the NPCs that are there. So that consistency of what you do is really what's going to give you the most bang for your buck when you're trying to get characters to make appropriate things. Oh yeah, sure. Make appropriate, conversations or decisions, and have those conversations with each other. Also, giving characters the opportunity and encouraging them to have those discussions between each other in character, as opposed to breaking character, being like, no, wait, no, you're not going to do that, like blah, 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 blah. As a person, as opposed to having that character, it's a lot more dynamic and interesting for everybody involved, and it really builds your story up and those characters up when the character is the one who has to say, I don't believe in what you're doing, or I don't believe that this is the right course for me to take. I don't want to go along with what you guys are doing. It's a lot better for a character to really do that and not for a player personally. It makes the game a little bit more dynamic. One of the other ones was, what are the benefits of having in audio game versus Skype in line with Roll20 or in studio game? So kind of along the same lines of being able to feel everybody on the left or the right, to your that's around you. That's a huge advantage. But if you're going to use one of the other platforms, like the huge advantage of that is you don't have to be in the same room. And if you're not in the same city, or you're in different time zones or across the world, like obviously it's a lot better instead of not having a game at all. One of the things that I find a little harder or more challenging about Roll20 is being able to roll with what players do. I feel like not that they have to be more railroady, but that you have to prepare more in order for it not to be as railroady. Andre, could I have that table maybe right there? So having the characters or the players available in the same room really just allows you as a DM to be able to, thank you, really just allows you as a DM, and I think I'm frozen on the stream, am I? Or is it all working just fine? Okay. Really just allows you to be able to be more malleable with the way that your game is working, if that makes sense. I can hear it a little bit. This is an FYI. Looking for the next question. Somebody said something about how do you feel about leveraging lasting consequences on a party, like getting arrested or punished by some ruler or god? Well, in one of the episodes of Orphan Echo, I think it's in the 19 to 20 range, we deal with a certain character who believes she's entitled to something, has some sense of entitlement to it, and actually attacks what would equate to a police officer, like a guard. And this is mostly like just a guard that's like, I need you to be calm. And then eventually she kind of raged a bit to the point where she had to be arrested because, again, it's about being consistent. And your stakes don't mean anything if they don't mean anything. So if you allow characters to talk their way out of things all the time, then you're not really being consistent. Even you say, well, all the time, but wouldn't there be situations where no matter what somebody says, you're not going to believe them? No matter what somebody says, you're not going to go along with their plan? I think this is a really big reason why there are no critical hits on skill checks. You can get crits on attack rolls, but skill checks typically, like, you want to be able to move that DC up and down based on the reputation of a player, based on the reputation of an NPC, or the status, the socioeconomical status of the different people. And I think that it's really important to keep that in mind when you're trying to craft your adventures, or when you have to kind of roll with something that a player does that you didn't expect. Because you really do need to reinforce within yourself what these moments mean, because that's what it means to you is what it's going to mean to the players. And if you're not consistent with that, you're going to be wishy-washy or forget, and you're not going to have a whole lot of consistency in that game, and then it's not going to mean as much. My favorite quote is a world with no consequence is of no consequence. Let's see. Favorite monster? I love Mind Flayers. I'm a huge Illithid fan. But I'm sure there's some other stuff out there that I would just love. Don't have a whole lot of time right now. How do you handle a new campaign where only 1 of 5 players wants to play an evil character? What's a good way to get the evil character and the 4 non-evil ones to work together generally? Typically a goal that unifies the party, but I would also encourage you, if this situation is a alignment situation, I would encourage you not to have alignments in your game. There's not really a whole lot of reason for them, in my personal opinion, except for to tell you how an NPC is going to react to your game, so or to your party and your people. So if you use that as a guideline, kind of the way you should be using CR to kind of give you a rough idea of how many of these characters or how many of these creatures your characters can go up against, or how many or what kind of divisiveness a character is going to use, an NPC is going to use against a character. That's a good way to use alignment, but there's really, unless you're stringent about your god having a very specific reason that this character has to be this alignment, and you need that to show like, oh, you're tipping the scales, you just went from, you know, lawful good to chaotic good, you know, that might be a thing where you might just want to reconsider having them in the game at all. So if you have that 1 player and that 5 player, maybe you have the characters or the people sit down as actual people and not characters, and really figure out why that character wants to be evil. Because that's not necessarily, like, to me, good means selfless and evil means selfish. So most characters are going to fall on either side of that from time to time. We all do things that are a little evil. We all do things that are a little good. We're all mostly probably in a neutral span unless we're sociopaths. And if your character wants to play a sociopath, remember, that's not even like a chaotic thing. That's actually very lawful in a way, because you're using the laws to circumvent how you get caught or how other people would pursue you and things like that. I would also take a lot of time to make sure that they all sit there together and figure out what they want as a game, because maybe that 1 player shouldn't play with the other characters. Maybe that's not the same game, and it's really important that everybody be on the same page with what kind of game you're playing, because that 1 character can ruin the experience for everybody. And although this is a game, it's not a video game, so it's not about 1 person. It's about the collective whole. What else do we have? What do you recommend? Squirt. Zzz. What do you do about a course of action for a character that wants to have all the best stuff right away, or expects crazy powerful loot at the end of each session? Ask which video games that they play so that you can get a better understanding of why they feel like that's the appropriate thing. And then also remind them that when you get everything that you want, it's not necessarily something that makes you happy. The evil DM side of this is saying, is playing kind of like the devil's game of that, is like, oh, you wanted this crazy powerful thing? Great. Oh, that thing was cursed. Oh yeah, you didn't check. Well, this is part of the curse. Oh, that you don't like that anymore? Maybe, you know, going after the uber powerful thing and having all the best stuff has consequences as well. Advice for how to better RP, the character. Oh, a specific character. I love Curse of Strahd. Let's see, Irina. I think that she's the character that, first off, nice there, Mick Gribner, with your collective whole equals 1 of us. That's right. There has to be a whole for somebody that's an individual to be 1 of us. If there's no us, there's no whole. So we have to bring that 1 into us. So when you, if you want a better idea of how to RP a character, and you want her to feel more like a person that people are going to care about, create something that is specific to your characters that actually gives them some embodiment of their own personal lives in that character. So as I recall, she has a lot of stuff going on where she's lost loved ones in the past. It doesn't have to stay that way unless there's something in the story that specifically dictates how that thing is. Maybe that did happen to her, but it's not as important as this other thing, which shares a common backstory note with one of your other characters. Those are good ways to keep the game fresh, even for the next time somebody plays the game. So you can have a lot of time where you're worried about your characters connecting to the NPCs, right? And I think this is an overall broad problem that a lot of DMs have. Voices are great, having different cadences, giving them something unique, like giving them an eye patch or a limp or something specific. Having the biggest thing to me that's going to even be better than all of those things, for those of you that don't like to use accents or don't like to, or don't have like a lot of background in that storytelling, is to spend your prep time less on each individual room and describing each room, because that's the thing that makes people feel really immersive, right? Well, if you don't get the time to do that, or if you'd rather shift that time into making the PCs care about an NPC as opposed to caring about what a room feels like, put that effort into their backstory. Take common threads from your NPCs and link them together like a web, because then they're going to feel it more when a piece of that web breaks, when something happens to that NPC, or when that NPC has a tragic twist or a turn. Oh, I saw that coming. You don't if you're blindsided by all of the other emotion that is wrapped up in that NPC for you. I got enough time for like 2 or 3 more moments. Is it a good idea to allow someone to, say, have a non-combat pet that follows them around? I tend to find that if a person doesn't expect the pet to engage in combat or to have a moment where that pet's going to take a moment away from another character, that's probably fine. It's tough for me in those scenarios because I'm a big I'm a big person of a world having a very specific type of consequence, but also a very real feel. So if you have something that is following you around, I'm going to make you do maintenance for that thing. If you really, like, if you want it, you're going to really want it. Just like if you really want an uber weapon, the maintenance that's required to either get it or to take care of it is going to be on the same level of that thing. That way, players that don't have this awesome item but also don't have to care about the upkeep, they're not losing anything, as opposed to just somebody who got a plus 15 greatsword that's just sitting around and they can pull out and use whenever they want to. There's no cost for that thing from them. Even if they had to save up gold or whatever, that constant upkeep makes it worth having that big thing. So non-combat pet, sure, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter, right? And as long as they're not affecting the game and taking the fun away from other players, it doesn't matter. I tend to find those things give you a moment where you can pull, oh, that thing just pulled scraps off the table, just yanked somebody's thing down. Now all of a sudden, your PCs have a problem or a conflict they have to handle because this pet is unruly. Why is the pet unruly? So-and-so didn't train it. Even if they trained it, every now and then a dog's still a dog. It's going to do what it wants to do. What gave us the idea for the ziggurat strip mall? So Satine and I created the ziggurat based off of the idea of that kind of like paper mill smell that's actually adjacent to the ziggurat. There's a refuse pit that's up in the, I guess it's going to be the south western side of Port Nyanzaru, and in that refuse pit, it says this has like this kind of acrid smell, and we were thinking about like, oh, I remember that all the things around the paper mill where I lived growing up, like it had a certain smell, and even the lights were a specific type of light, like that kind of like headache-inducing yellow. And so it just kind of like gave us, that's what started us down that rabbit hole of like, well, what are all these other things? Oh, remember how a guy, like if you're a guy and you go shopping with a girl, like window shopping is the worst because it keeps you there. You just want to get in, get out, etc. Or, you know, the longer you're there, the more your legs hurt and you just want to find a place to sit down or whatever. These are all like really interesting things that we thought would be a lot of fun to kind of like give that place a little bit more personality. Okay, let's see. Let's do one more real fast, and then I will get out. Subnet Striker, thank you very much for your praise. We put a lot of time in this, and we get Andre to come in when he can because he works a full-time production job. We have Bruce Monarch, who does our Monday show as well, and he has quite a bit of expertise, and we try and put as much of ourselves into that as possible. So when you can pretty much bet that Satine and I just basically work all the time. One last question, still looking. I have a dog that has a therapy dog because in my story the guy has PTSD from a war. Dread pain, that is amazing. That is a fantastic, real thing. And I think that conversation with that character before you start that has to be a very specific, like how much risk is that person willing to put that animal in? And at what point do they leave them home instead of taking them into a dungeon? Because what they're doing is still a very specific and dangerous job. And if that animal doesn't have a function in combat, much like a bomb dog might have, you might want to make sure that everybody at the table is okay with the idea that this creature is just around and will have no effect. But communicating that early on is probably your best bet. Last. Rudy, in your opinion, what's the best way to show the players running away is an option? The best way to show people that running away is an option is going to be for your, basically just throw something at them at the very beginning and let them watch some other powerful or equally powerful NPC of their level, or even somebody that they've fought against, lose and or run from a bigger thing. And after you establish that, you might have to redo it some point later down the line, but right there in that moment, they're going to see somebody that they look up to or that they have fought against in the past and either narrowly beaten or didn't beat, have to to make this thing and be like, I think we should run. Yeah? Yeah, I think it's, if you want to live, you should probably run too. And then create that circumstance and be consistent with that circumstance, because then they'll think twice about it and they'll discuss going into situations a little bit faster and better than they would normally do it. How cool is it, the community? Is this community, and how much do you love us? Rachel, you always get me. Thank you, guys, for coming to hang out with us. We have a blast with you all the time, and sometimes that, you guys get a lot of enjoyment out of watching us play, but we get a lot of enjoyment out of doing it with you guys there, and you guys being cheerleaders for the characters and really being invested in the story. And, one of the things that you guys asked was, how do you make people care about an NPC? And on a stream, like, I need to make you guys care about an NPC as well, or, because you're going to care about the characters because they have personalities that you can see. But I have to give NPCs personalities too, and when you guys let me know how much a specific story moment affected you, or how much a specific NPC you loved, any of those things, that gives me more information to make more things that push that envelope a little further and help me to know what things you guys like. Because while this is a game, it is also a show, and you guys don't realize how much effect you have on the characters in the game. Sure, I don't sit down and do like a raffle for who wants to come create an NPC. Maybe that's something I do in the future. Maybe it's something I do with the Patreon people because they're there supporting us on a regular basis with that. Or maybe it's even just the subscribers on Twitch. But that's almost just a superficial thing when it comes to how to embody that character. And you guys and your reaction to what we do on a daily basis and you guys showing up is what drives the story for these people. And a lot of it, you guys loving it and showing up is what makes it worth it doing it for us. Because otherwise I would just be fine with having these friends come and play. That's what I did before this, and that's what I did for Adventures League, was just to be there and to play with people. And it was really awesome when people started to watch me DM at Adventures League games and people used to fight to get on the tables. Like, that was awesome. But it's nothing compared to having 700, 800 people come and hang out with us and discuss the decisions that are made during a game, or discuss the the possible repercussions and start theorizing about the future of things and getting on our Reddit and talking back and forth about like, oh, well, this moment was important to me because this thing happened in my life and that experience is worthwhile to me. That, I feel like that as a storyteller, you know, something that I do, I write scripts, I sell scripts, I work as an actor, and most of what that is me hoping to affect somebody out there in a way that is going to be meaningful to them and enrich their lives. So getting to see that quickly and seeing these things affect you guys is what makes, it's like an accelerated dose of dopamine for us every time. It makes us, Satine and I are exhausted, you know, and you guys are our Mountain Dew or our adrenaline or our Red Bulls. Like, you guys give us wings. Okay. I'm going to get in trouble with my cast. They're probably watching this right now, and they know I can't lie to them about it. So I'm going to go. We'll see you guys on the 11th for maybe a little tabletop game if we can. I'll tweet out if we can't. But the new shows start that next week of October, that third week, with Satine's on the 17th and mine on the 18th, and those will still all intertwine. So we love you guys. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for subbing to this channel to make this stuff possible. Thank you for subbing to Maze Arcana to make that stuff possible there too. And I think right now it's still half price. So if you guys want to get in and you want to help out, that's a wonderful way to do it. Outside of that, Patreon, pop into Reddit, hit us up on Twitter, all those things. Support the other channels that are like us, like Geek and Sundry, and even Hyper and Saving Throw, and all the people out there that that make this stuff work, because as a community, this is how we build each other up, and there's really no room for hate when we're all playing games. It's a game. Let's have some fun. All right. Have a nice night. Love you guys. Bye.